first thing we need to do is prepare our space. So we need to clean off our entire countertop area from where your stove is to all the way over to your kitchen sink and around. We need to have plenty of places to set things and to work. We don't always have time to clean everything up as we go, and so we need to be able to set things into the sink, next to the sink, so it's really important that you get your whole space totally cleaned off. Now, I have all of these things out today to show you all of the basic supplies you're going to need to make this soap. And I'll just start at the end over here. We're going to be using olive oil. We're going to be using lye. We're going to need some containers that we can measure our oils and water and our lye into. Safety glasses. And I used the whisk for incorporating milk. You're going to need a scraper, some measuring cups, and again, sometimes you can use plastic. Just make sure you don't use the plastic with fragrance oil and lye. A couple of high temperature thermometers, can opener, scissors, a scale. I used to use a digital scale until one day it just went phooey on me, and I was in the middle of trying to make soap and it didn't work. So I just vowed I wasn't going to use the digital stuff anymore. So this is just a plain old regular scale. Goat milk, and I'm going to ask that you use the powder. A couple of, we just need to have one pot. This is a 8 quart pot. I use the bigger 15, 16 quart pot when I make a bigger batch of soap. It's an 8 quart pot. Again, it needs to be stainless steel. Don't substitute anything else. We need oats. We need to have vinegar on hand. Always have vinegar on hand when you're soap making because it neutralizes any disastrous splatters or spills of lye. We need our fragrance. I have a couple of Corelware bowls. I like to use these to measure my fragrance oils into. If you use plastic, you'll find that they'll be eaten up and funky things will happen. So either use glass or Corelware. Metal measuring spoons. I have a couple of stainless steel, a spoon. This is an ice cream scoop, and I use that with the harder oils that we're going to be using with the soap today. Down here I have my coconut oil and my palm oil, and I buy them in these great big buckets from Columbus Foods. I like those. They're more economical than buying all kinds of small bottles from a grocery store. These are relatively inexpensive, and then get one of these tools to pry the lids off with. It makes it so much easier than trying to do it with your hands, which is almost impossible, or a screwdriver. We also have just a dry sift for sifting our oats. A blender. I use the blender for actually blending up my oats. A lot of people use coffee grinders, but I've burned out a couple of motors on the coffee grinders, and this is a KitchenAid blender. I bought it specifically because I had a lifetime warranty on the motor. If it burns out, they'll replace it for free, and I'm no longer buying appliances that burn out. Then we also need an electric stick blender, a couple of molds. We're only going to need one, but I'm showing you a couple because I use a couple different sizes. Freezer paper and some wax paper. Wax paper will come a little later, but I wanted to show you these molds here. This is one of the very first molds we built, and it's just made out of Formica particle board. And it's really important that you have a way to get your soap out when it's poured into here. It's going to have a liner in it, and there's a vacuum underneath. So we put this little door. My first ones didn't have a little latch. I just taped them shut. But this little latch is handy. I've seen where you can just drill a couple holes underneath to help with that suction problem, and then you can just fill them square, but I choose not to do that because I have had a couple of times where my soap leaked through, or maybe I didn't have it taped quite well enough, and I wouldn't want soap leaking out the bottom. So these are relatively inexpensive to build. This was one of the first ones, and this is the size we're going to use in the recipe today. It makes 32 4-ounce bars. You might be thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with 32 4-ounce bars? That's what I thought when I first started. However, when I started handing out some free bars of soap to my friends and family members. 32 bars did not last long at all, and pretty soon I was making more and more and more. I didn't start out making soap for a career or a living. I started making soap because I love to create things, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And once I got over the fear of doing it by watching my friend do it then, it was so much fun and easy. I started going to making these bigger molds. This mold's twice the size. It holds 64 4-ounce bars of soap. And when you get a little bit more comfortable with working with the ingredients and having good recipes, then you can turn out soap in these larger molds, and you don't have to fear that you're wasting a lot of materials by having botched up batches. I really stuck with using this size mold until I got really good recipes going that my customers, my friends and family, as I started growing, really liked. And then I took those recipes and doubled them and started using the bigger molds so I could make twice as much with my time. So these are the basic things that you're going to need to make goat milk soap with oatmeal, and I'm excited to get started. Will you watch over my shoulder with me?